I'd like to call the meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Trish.
Mrs. Brew?
Here.
Mr. Kramer?
Here.
Mr. Menegini? Mr. Oja?
Here.
Mr. Pop?
Here.
I need a motion to excuse Mr. Mangini.
I'll make a motion to excuse Mr. McGee.
Support.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini? Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes. We'll move on to the approval of the agenda. Ray, you have a few changes I see in front of us.
Yeah, just updates to a couple council reports, but no change in agenda items.
Okay. I have a motion to accept the agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
Support.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
We'll move on to the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of August 6, 2018. Is there any questions or comments on the minutes? If not, I need a motion.
I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes of the regular meeting of August 6th. Support.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
We'll move on to the approval of the manifest 2018-16. Scott, do you have any questions?
I have nothing for tonight.
Brett?
I have nothing.
Jeremy?
No, nothing.
I have nothing either, so we need a motion on that.
I'll make a motion, we approve manifest 2018-16 in the amount of $656,574.
Support.
Answer these publicly from the last meeting.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes?
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
I'll have Mr. Anderson go over the answers to the questions we had on the last manifest.
Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor. The first one was a question concerning details on our computer purchases, and I showed you those bills, pulled those bills. The computers are the same pricing. It's just the differences come in the peripherals that were added to the equipment. And the second line of questioning was on the topsoil, and I talked to David. I did not get a chance last week to get this from him, but today I did talk to him, and the pricing is all about the same on the topsoil. We have spread that around to the different contractors, and Genuine Construction, on as far as who we purchased it this last time, you know, I think this is the first time he's actually purchased it from them, and it's actually screened, so it's sometimes we get it, it's not screened, so this is it's screened topsoil.
Okay,
That's
we'll move on to anyone who would like to address the audience on any agenda items may do so now. State your name and address for the record. No public hearing. We'll move on to appointments. There was no appointments. And move on to approval, electric department, transformer disposal. Mr. Anderson.
Yeah, each year we appropriate roughly $2,500, $2,000 to $2,500 for disposal of transformers that when we take them out of service, some of the older transformers have a PCB rating, and we have 2 transformers that need to be disposed of. We have 3 quotes for the disposal, and Solomon Corporation out of Solomon, Kansas has the lowest price of $1,160. We are asking for $1,500 because I could not ascertain exactly on the shipping. So we're estimating that if we had $1,500, that would cover the cost. And we have a $2,100 budget, so we're still under budget.
Any questions? If not, I need a motion.
Make a motion that Emerald Transformer be awarded the contract to dispose of transformers for a price not to exceed $1,500.
It was Solomon Corporation.
I'm sorry, Solomon, sorry, Solomon Corporation.
Support.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Ocha?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes. We'll move on to approval electric department poll testing.
Yeah, this particular line item, we had this extensive discussion last fall and went out for quotes, and with our program that we've been working on with Empower, and Mr. Jason Brown is here this evening, he can answer specific questions, but one of the areas that we thought was important to investigate and then move forward on was a process by testing the poles that is not destructive in nature. Almost all of the other, in fact, all of the other third-party quotes that we received last year for pole testing involved actually destructively testing by going and drilling holes into the pole. In the Empower testing, and we did a pilot last year, the pilot did perform very well. This is an ultrasonic test that we go through. We have over 2,000 poles, 2,500 poles, and so what we do is we have a series of tests, and then we selectively go after the tests that or the poles that test out that need further investigation. So the more extensive testing is actually not extended to the total number of poles, but it's actually a lower number of poles for testing. So in talking with Jason for this year and through our budget hearings, remember it's still an expensive process no matter how we deal with it. We estimated or budgeted a 3-year process at $20,000 a year, $60,000. Empower has a quote for $55,600. I do believe that you're estimating that based on some analysis of the kind of a worst case scenario. So as we go along, our hope is to not, obviously not deal with that. Plus, with our asset management that we are working through we utilize that particular program for the asset management, that we are also not going to test lines and areas that we are going to be replacing. This is only for areas that are going to be out there a number of years. So again, what we're requesting for council is to move forward with the program. It would be for the $20,000 for this fiscal year. And next fiscal year, we have it in our budget. We can do an appropriation officially again next year if council likes, or we can pass the whole program, and then hopefully we'll appropriate it on an annual basis based on what we find each year. So the total would be $55,600. But this year's would be $20,000 as we appropriate it. Are there any questions on how we've developed this, and any questions on moving forward?
How much is it per pole to replace?
What is it?
Some initial screening.
I believe it was in there.
Can I talk back here?
Yeah.
You can
Jason,
come
why
up.
don't you come on up?
Come up.
What we're doing is a condition-based pole testing, so if it's a good pole, a newer pole, it's just a visual looking for obvious issues. So we don't want to do any kind of, it's condition-based testing. So if we have what we call a suspect pole, then we go into the non-destructive vibrational analysis, and then we keep going. And so we're trying to save the asset. We're using the GIS as a place to record the results and make intelligent decisions. Like Ray said, if you're going to replace 3 lines and one of them's full of bad or priority replacement poles, maybe we replace that. You guys replace that one first, so you don't have to spend money on those assets. Leave the good poles in the field. Regarding the individual costs, and I think what Ray did, he pushed us for let's look at all the poles with the initial assessment to find those suspect poles, because you have a lot of poles. So the initial screening is $3.35 per pole.
And how much is it to replace a pole?
Well, the pole itself, depending on the height, let's say on average, Costs about, it's about $500 for the pole and then the labor to install.
And you said, how many poles do we figure we got?
We have 2,900,
And
2,900.
yeah.
the industry standard for a municipality is about $1,500 to replace your typical pole. Like you said, it could be a couple hundred for a little 30-footer single phase, and it could be $3,000 for a more complex pole with a lot of equipment on it.
Right. And our larger poles on our loop circuit has already been done, and we've already made that replacement. Most of the lines that we're dealing with now are the distribution lines that run, north-south, out in Vulcan, so they're gonna be not that extensive of a pole.
So there's a difference in price in poles?
Yeah, and then length of the
And you
poles.
only gave us the price on what it costs to replace the pole, not the hours and that?
Right,
Or the
I know that the
equipment.
pole itself runs typically somewhere between $400 and $700, depending on the type of pole, the height of the pole, the length of the pole. So that's roughly about right. I mean, $1,500 for a standard pole. That includes the labor.
That includes labor.
Yeah.
But, we've done quite a bit of work, over the last 15 years. We have 2,900 poles, but, we're not gonna be replacing all those poles. We do have to identify, our poles and do the testing. That is a requirement under our,
Well, I just hate to put $60,000 into testing and then, when you could have replaced how many poles with that?
yeah, but we, like I said, we don't really know which ones are needing replacement.
Well, could we do some type of visual?
That's what we're proposing for year one, is to get a better handle on what's out there. And that's why the condition-based testing, so we only spend effort on poles that are suspect to determine if they're salvageable or not.
So the
So
20,000?
it costs $20,000 for a visual inspection.
And there's some left over for that next level of inspection. I think at 335 times, there was only $9,700 in there for that initial go-through of everything. Then the balance is for, we know, we've been out and looked at the poles, you've got bad poles out there, we just want to spend the effort on the ones that need attention. Your traditional pole testers come out and they dig and excavate and drill
Yep.
every one, they might charge you $25 a pole, and they're not doing your poles any favors by
What we want to do is we want to go and touch every pole, and then we'll have a number. Based on that, we'll have a pretty good number of, these poles need the next level of investigation. And you also have a pretty good idea just dealing with it visually and with the
Absolutely.
non-destructive testing. These poles, we think, just need to be replaced. So then we'll be able to zero in on the cost. And I can give you a cost of replacement too, based on that.
Who says that we have to test them?
That's, what is it, an NEC standard? I believe there's an NEC standard out there.
What's an NEC?
National Electric Code.
Most.
So it's an insurance
most
company thing.
Utilities these days are on a 10 or 7-year cycle to inspect poles, and then you replace after the useful life. I don't know that you have any history of the condition of these poles. So guys are going out and hitting them with a hammer before they're climbing them and hoping they're safe. So the liability there, at least if you go in and you do a condition assessment and grade them, now you're starting to make intelligent decisions and identifying ones that are potentially at
But
issue.
once you identify them, you must have to switch them out right away, no?
No, absolutely not. It's all budgetary and, what it tells people is that you're spending your money on the priority poles, the ones that are most at risk. If there's a priority pole that we were to walk out and say, this thing could come down tomorrow, that you want to go get. But then you want to have a grade or an assessment of every pole, then the intelligent decision is spend your money on the ones that are the highest risk and move in the direction, because that's basically what you want to do. And that's bringing the technology and the information, putting it in a place where the people that run the utility and rate can analyze and say, where should we spend our money? when it comes to pole replacement.
Well,
Because-
go ahead.
And we've been evaluating, you know, like in our master plan, we've been evaluating extensions based off of line loss, voltage loss, not so much on pole condition or physical condition. However, if we go back to Krause Engineering, when Dave did the first master plan, there was in there pole testing, to go across and get our pole testing done, because that's a major factor in making decisions on where we are going to spend our money and update our system, you know, to do that, you know, through that master plan.
And you said how much for the visual?
$335.
The visual's 97,4850 for to inspect all the poles.
Yep.
Then it was another 9,000 for the extra testing on the bad ones and 1,200 to enter them into the system and gather all the data.
I'm not comfortable with approving the rest of it because I don't know what our budget's gonna look like.
I'd be happy with the visual. But I don't wanna.
Well, I certainly think we can have a more intelligent conversation at the conclusion of that, definitely.
At the end of the visual.
You know, it might be a good news or a bad news
Yeah.
situation, but at least it'll be real news.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what we typically do, and we're doing this around the country, is we go in and we take that condition-based assessment. Let's go deal with the suspects now. Then let's not spend additional money testing if we already know this pole's gotta come down, or what can we remediate it? Can we dig it up, wrap it, you know, buy another 5 years of life out of it? Does it have enough strength to hold up the equipment and the lines that it's supporting? If it doesn't, then you got an issue. If it does, you know, maximize the useful life left of it.
So if you had a pole that was kind of in the middle, you know, you don't have to replace it, how do you tell and how long before you gotta go back and
You
retest
get a
it?
percent of original strength or a remaining life calculation is basically what you're after. And that's when you start digging in to figure out what you really have there. If you do the visual and it's a suspect pole, now you try to do some real assessments and get some numbers. That's the objective.
Okay.
So pass, fail, or how good is it? Or how bad is it? I guess it could go either way there.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion? Or did you
I'm
have?
gonna say, I just think it'd be good if we at least approve this year's to go through and do the testing, even the second level. That way we know the condition of the worst poles.
Are you making that motion?
I'll make a motion, we approve Empower to perform pole testing for a price not to exceed $20,000 in the fiscal year 18-19.
Support.
Mr. Ocha?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
No.
Mrs. Brew?
No.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
We'll move on to the approval of the Sturgeon Falls What?
Can I ask if we can review just doing task one?
The task one, I would go for.
I mean, we appropriated $20,000 to do pole testing.
Yeah,
I mean,
well, I
we
came up
need
last
to-
fall too, and I still didn't agree with it. And I didn't vote for it.
You're probably gonna have to include task 3, because that's entering the information, collecting and entering. So it'd be 11,000 for the mapping and the drawing and mapping and the inspection, manual inspection. Just about 11,000, just under.
So what'd you say, Jeremy, that was?
It'd be just under 11,000 because you got the 9,800
It
for
was
the,
800 for the
and the
processing?
1,200 for the mapping. It probably won't be that full amount, but you're still gonna need to record the data. You'll wanna, I think it's still a good idea to have it put into the GIS so we can know which poles by visual are bad. So that'd be 11,000.
Yeah. It should be 10,948. Well, I make a motion that task 1 and task 3 be approved for the amount of 10,948.50, not to exceed that amount.
Task 1 and 3. Mr. Pop, oh wait,
No, we didn't have
there's
a
no
second.
second, sorry.
Do we have a second? No. Motion fails. Lack of support.
Is there any other, I have to ask as a staff member, I mean, are we dead with poll testing? Do you want me to forget about it, or what would you like me to do to address the poll testing issue?
I feel that if we have our own guys out there visually looking at this, and if they feel that something's majorly wrong, we just replace the pole, rather than spending $60,000 on testing this, and then have to spend another $60,000 in replacing them. I think, like you said, it's not all 2,900 of them, so.
not.
I mean, I do have concern for safety reasons, but they also know by looking, they're climbing them every day. They can feel them. They know they should have somewhat of knowing on what's safe and what's not.
Okay.
Okay, we'll move on to the approval of the Sturgeon Falls Hydro General Electric Generator Testing.
On this particular item, again, we talked about this in the spring. We had a situation on Unit 1 where we took the unit offline. It did have a short in the wire in the coil. We had that fixed, but we also had the coils tested and before it was put back online, and we had the conversation again in budget hearings about bringing in a contractor to test Unit 2 once Unit 2 was down. We are down now, and we solicited some quotes from two companies, Ames Motor Generator Division out of Milwaukee and IPS Monarch out of Detroit, to handle this effort. The cost from IPS, the low responsive bidder, is $16,720.
Is there any questions?
Have we done work with either one of them before?
Ames did our last testing. I believe both have extensive industry, sufficient industry, history. I mean, our recommendation is to go with IPS.
Oh yeah, that was the one with the change on it.
Yeah.
Do I have a motion to go with IPS?
I'll make a motion IPS Monarch be approved to perform the testing on Hydro Generator Unit 2 for a price not to exceed $16,720.
Support.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes?
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
We'll move on to wastewater department lift station number 5 pump.
In our fiscal year budget, we appropriate monies for maintenance of our rebuilding of our lift station pumps. In our wastewater operations, the pumps go through, it's a very caustic, dynamic operation. It's a pretty regular occurrence that we're having to work on our pumps, plus the existing pumps are aged. They're probably 20-plus years old individually. So On this particular situation, Bob did contact my office, and he just felt like he just can't rebuild this pump anymore. So he asked to take the monies from rebuilding to apply towards purchase of a new pump for this lift station number 5. We got a price from Vacuum Pump and Compressor. We actually have two prices, but Vacuum Pump and Compressor has a low price of $4,192. It's also the better bid. HydroFlow, there were some components that still needed to be included, and they didn't guarantee on the shipping.
So this is still part of the project then?
No, this is outside the project.
This is outside the
It's completely
project.
outside the project and in the budget.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we have any questions? If not, I need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of a new pump for lift station number 5, and it be awarded to Vacuum Pump and Compressor Incorporated for a price not to exceed $4,192.
Support.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes. We'll move on to the approval of Strawberry Lake Park Improvement Ball Field Irrigation Project.
In the Strawberry Lake project, the majority of the project's gonna be bid out this winter. However, on the softball field, on the improvements, the irrigation and the infield improvements, it's something that we had targeted to try and get done this fall so that it was actually playable next year. And in order to do that, we bid it out this past month. We had one bidder that put in for this proposal of Beck's Ornamental and Turf, and the project price is $33,342. Now, as I mentioned in my report, this is $8,600 higher than the engineer's estimate, but when evaluating, and I went through this with Coleman, in evaluating the overall budget for the project, we feel like there are some line items down the road that they're extremely heavy on in the engineer's estimate. So this is not uncommon where we'll adjust as we go. I did talk to and had an interview with John Beck about if there was some quality engineering that we could do, if there's anything that may be a little over-designed or could be modified, and he felt like it was the right design for the situation, and that taking something away would really be taking away from the performance, of the irrigation system as a whole. So, or the amendments in the infield.
Any
So-
questions? Go ahead, Mr. Anderson.
No, I was just gonna say that, so the request is for council approval of the $33,342.
And that the Parks and Rec Committee recommended it.
Yes, we went through this at our meeting last week, and they did forward a recommendation for council to approve it.
Could we actually look into getting that total lowered before we say yes or no? Could we renegotiate that price?
I asked that question last week, whether we could hold off 2 weeks. There's a couple things that, reason it was a no. One was because, again, that, the contractor basically said that, hey, this is, we've already cut the pricing to get it at this level. The design, he doesn't feel like we should cut it any farther than on the design. And then from a schedule standpoint, he's looking at trying to get this started right away in September. So timing-wise, if you go too far into September, then you won't get good grass growth by the time you're done, to actually have it over winter. So there was kind of a couple things that were going against us on that question. So I'm not sure how much headway I'd get in 2 weeks. Not that I didn't try, I didn't get the feedback that was gonna be, something we were gonna get a lot of headway on.
Any other questions? If not, do I have a motion?
Just one. Well, Basically, we're over by the infield sand. Is there any way we can provide that from our sand pits, or?
Well, it's a spec sand, so no, not really, because we go to Bickler, you know, to get the proper spec. I mean, we can provide the sand, but it wouldn't be per the specs, you know, for the,
Because that's almost the exact amount we're over, is the infield sand.
and I'm not a builder of baseball fields. I
Yeah.
mean, you know,
That's why I'm asking.
you guys might have more background in that as far as, you know,
Yeah,
working
you
with
can't
the.
just throw regular dirt down.
Yeah. And I know that the sand does get pricey. I mean, I even got a bag dropped off in my office with the amendments. So, just to show what we were trying to get, you know, for, or what they were bidding.
Any other questions? If not, I need a motion.
I make a motion that the proposal from Bex and Turp be approved for softball field irrigation project for the price not to exceed $33,342, recommended by the Parks and Rec.
Do I have a support? Support,
You support it, Ken?
yeah.
Mr. Oja?
No.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Drew?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Okay. We'll move on to approval, USDA RDWWTP pay requests.
Okay, we have our three RD pay requests for this month. The first one is the wastewater treatment plant. That particular pay request is $10,300.22. It's the chlorine analyzer equipment line item. We are over on the line item. We had $7,000 in the line item. So what we're proposing is that we move line items $2,000 from the equipment, and $1,300 is from contingency. And then we move that to the chlorine analyzer line item.
How much do we have budgeted?
$7,000.
And the rest is gonna come out of the equipment?
Yeah, so it would be $2,000 from the equipment, which would be the truck budget.
So it'd have to be more than that.
1,300's coming out of contingency.
Yeah, we're moving
Oh.
$1,300 from contingency. That'll leave us with $327 in contingency and $28,000 in the truck budget. And of course, we're not moving on the truck until we know exactly what the final numbers look like.
Did we accept a bid on trucks already or no?
No, we haven't done anything with this on the trucks.
I just looked at that 402, I can be wrong, I don't know if you got 1,300, but after we updated that, after we paid Peterson, I don't think there is that many dollars in the contingency.
That come off of the last report that I did.
Well, we just updated the 402 after we paid Peterson, and I just looked at that quickly, Mary could go get it. I just don't want you to get wrapped up in the numbers not being right and whatever. She can run and grab that 402 to see, but I don't know if there's 1,300 in there.
Well, it can all come out of the truck if you'd like.
Well, I mean, that's what we do. I mean,
I know, but I have to put these numbers together, and we didn't have it from the last meeting. When we
Yeah.
did Peterson's, I had to do it by hand.
Yeah, I know. If
You know.
it doesn't matter, that's fine. I just didn't want,
Well, it does matter because I wanna know the amounts.
yeah, I think almost all that difference, except for 100 and some bucks, if I remember, and Mary could go get it.
But we took money out of the truck the last time.
Yes, we did, and we did it to pay Peterson. And I'm just saying that my recollection from looking, and we can verify it, that after we updated that, I don't believe there's those kind of, that dollars in the contingency, I could be wrong. So if there's not, then the shortfall, which is 3,000, whatever, would have to come from the truck company.
Look, it's gonna take a minute, my computer's on.
If you need to know, if it doesn't matter, then it doesn't matter, But if you really want to know where it's coming from,
I think we should know.
Yeah, I'm not gonna,
I could be wrong, but I just looked at it not long ago.
I thought it all came out of the truck the last time.
That's the notes that I had from the meeting.
I was pretty sure it all came out of the truck at the last meeting, but don't quote me.
I think it did too.
Don't quote me on that. Because there wasn't enough in there to.
Well, the numbers that I have here is from the notes I had from the last meeting.
Yeah, and that's
I did
fine.
that, yeah.
But, I just want to know the right numbers. Unless I'm the only one that feels that way, if you guys want to
I
make a
I
motion.
agree with you.
Okay,
Well, do you want to move on to the
Yep.
water?
yep. So I'm gonna, come back to number 13 at the end. Do I have to have a motion for that, or no?
Well, I can just go on. Why don't I just go on? We have the water project pay request. The water project pay request is for $7,300. That closes out the project. So your numbers are shown for closing out the project. We are having Baco come back after Labor Day, when hopefully we'll have some rain, and they plan to, again, address boulevard issues. I want to make sure we're aware of that. I gave you the letter that they gave us concerning that issue.
Any questions? If not, I need a motion.
I'll make a motion that the city council approves the invoices for the water project pay request in the amount of $7,300.
Support.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes?
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
We'll move on to the approval USDA RD sanitary sewer project pay request.
The pay request for the sewer is for $12,970, and again, that does close out that project, same as the water. The additional amount on this particular line item as opposed to the water was for the guardrail that we approved at the previous meeting.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the invoices for the sanitary sewer project pay request in the amount of $12,970.
Support.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes. Now we'll move on to 13 if they have the information. If not, we can table it.
There's only 127 in contingency.
Yeah, but how much is in truck then?
There's 30 left in the
Yeah.
truck. It was 33, we moved 3 for the Peterson thing, so I think there's 30 in the truck.
Does this include the equipment and the installation, or just the equipment?
Just the equipment.
Who's installing it?
We haven't come to that conclusion yet, based on the SCADA issue. We did, if you look at the actual invoice, they want $4,160 for installation. Not quite clear what all that is involves, that's why we really didn't add that to it. And then I went to Jesse to see if it was just a matter of tying in, and that was almost $10,000 on a quote. So we got to get more information on the installation. We've been holding this equipment since, what? Since November. So, you
So
know,
this is the one that got ordered,
yes,
that we've been holding.
yes, and they're not giving us our money back. We've talked to them and talked to them, talked to them, even of restocking. So we need to move forward on this equipment. We just have to figure out the
So
best way
pretty
of
much
getting
we're
it.
stuck with it.
Pretty much we're stuck with it.
Did we?
I mean, we could send it back to them, but they're not gonna give us the credit. So,
Can we sell it?
not until we buy it. I mean, we can make those decisions based on the installation, you know, the cost of the installation. But I think we owe it to this company. I mean, we've been holding it since November. I've been asking to try and see if we can get a restocking fee, you know, whatever, you know, to send it back. And, you know, I think we just have hit a roadblock, and I think we need to move forward on it, and
And we haven't paid anything on it at all?
not a penny. Not a penny.
So we're pretty much stuck with it no matter what?
Yeah. So we'll come up with a game plan on this. I think it's you know, based on what my understanding of it, of what it's for, I think it's something that's not unnecessary, okay? I think the process of us acquiring it was a little dysfunctional, but what the equipment's used for is not something that's out of line. It's just a matter now, what's the best way to move forward, especially with installation, if we move to the installation.
So do you have the exact numbers then, what it would be, where we're taking it from?
You guys need to tell me what the 4022 says.
Yeah, there's only $127 and change in the contingency. That was very low, and we had a Peterson bill, so we moved $3,000 from the truck column over to Big Peterson.
So if we moved another 3,300, it'd be 2,670.
It'll all be coming from the truck?
Well, there's $7,000 allocated in the chlorine analyzer column.
Right, so that 7,000 is gonna go towards it.
And then 3 more, whatever the math comes up.
Okay.
Exactly.
$26,700.
All right, do I have a motion on that?
Not quite clear on the language yet, but I make a motion that the Norway City Council approves the invoices for WWTP project pay request. Would it be the existing balance on the chlorine analyzer to be switched from the equipment line item to the chlorine analyzer line item in the amount of, what was it?
10,300.
10,300?
No, because there was 7,000 already there.
Right, the
Well,
additional will be
But you have to approve the 10,000.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, the approval would be 10,300 with $3,300 coming out of
With,
the
yes.
trucks.
Yes, with the 3,300 coming out of the truck.
Yeah.
22 cents. Thanks, Brad.
Do I have a support?
I'll support.
Mr. Pop,
No.
Mrs. Brew,
Only because we're gonna be stuck with it. I don't want it put in until we decide what we're gonna do with it, being that it, we have to pay for it. We ordered it and we have to pay for it. So yes.
Mr. Kramer,
Yes.
Mr. Oja.
Yes.
Anyone wishing to address the council may do so at this time. State your name, address for the records, for the record.
Good evening, my name is Tony Adams, W5249 WPA Road, Vulcan, Michigan. I'd like to address the council in regards to, we call it the big field, the third field at Marion Park. After talking to Mr. Pop, who's very active at Marion Park as well, I called Mr. Anderson following the death of Coach Mike Molly. And I was wondering what the process is to see if we can get that field named after Mike. Mr. Anderson said that he was not aware of a process, or it doesn't happen. We have 3 fields out there. One of them is Brackett Field. I know how that name got on there. They built it. The other 2 are unnamed. So I decided this evening to come before the council and ask what you would like me to do, or what needs to be done, or where do I go to see if this can happen?
The city council has the ability to authorize that. You can do it under resolution. I mean, I can establish a resolution, be a little more formal, a little more proper.
I would think I run it through Parks and Rec, get their recommendation to do it, and
Then get a
we can then
resolution.
do a resolution after that. That's my thought.
I don't think there's any official procedure. That's another
That's what we
thing.
talked about.
So I think it's the purview of the council as
It's
to
the
how you
council.
would like to
Okay.
do that.
Yeah.
But I
There
think
would
it's,
not be a cost to the city. We will pay for the signage.
Is there any-
Whatever
Is there a legal side of
cost
that,
comes
Green?
to that.
I just think it would be nice to have on record an actual formal resolution
Right.
as such, rather than just make a
Right.
I don't
motion.
have a problem with that. If
Yeah.
you want to drop a resolution, I don't think anybody else have an objection.
No, I don't have any objections to that.
We have a Parks and Rec meeting third Wednesday of September, so
Did you
we
want to
could
do it
do-
before then?
My hope, my wish was that we get approval sometime this fall, the signs made this winter, and then Mr. Tinty and I get together and figure out
Yeah.
a high school game where
We'll do it
all of
dedicated,
us
we'll
can
do
be
it
there.
dedicated.
So I'm looking for next spring
Okay, so we'll be.
to have it.
So we could get
actually-
it, we could get it approved in October.
What, that's.
Now, do you have a background of Mr. Molly that you can go to the Parks and Rec with, let him know how long?
I can get
His
it.
involvement
I can
with
get it,
the
yeah.
baseball and his.
A bio, that would be nice to have.
Yeah.
Sure. Third Wednesday?
Third Wednesday of
If I cannot be
September.
there because of other meetings,
Well, if you give me the information, I
should I
can,
go through you?
yeah.
Rico's on the board.
Okay, I can send it to him, if I can't be there. All right, you're looking, what would you like in it?
September 19th is the
Just
actual.
some type of background, what his involvement with the community was, and how long he's been involved with it.
Yeah,
That's
we
usually
can
how long.
include it in the resolution, just formalized.
I take that bio information and
He can make
put
the
it into the
resolution.
resolution.
Yeah, I'll get you that information for next month.
Yeah, it's
Fair
fine.
enough?
That's fine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I apologize, I have two kids at two different practices, so I gotta leave.
That's fine. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony.
All right.
Anyone else like to address the council? If not, I'll move on to council comments. Scott?
I just have one to the community. School starts next week. A lot of parents are happy, a lot of kids aren't happy. But with the children walking around the streets now, the busing to school, just take extra precaution, extra safety.
I have none.
Jeremy?
Right, can we get information on what our social media hire that we made a few months back, what they're actually doing? Because I haven't seen anything on any of our social media or website that's made any kind of changes. So just to find out what's going on with them, where we are with that. That's all.
I have no comments. Mr. Carlson?
Nothing really all that particular, except commenting, I read the nice article in the paper about the City of Norway's property, the Oak Crest Golf Course. They recently held the best ball tournament. They had the UP men's golf tournament. Mr. Eichhorn had a nice showing out there, and I believe there were some other additional tournaments. It's been a busy summer for Oak Crest Golf Course, and reports were that it was in excellent condition and hospitable as usual. So congrats to Oak Crest, and I would echo Mr. Pop's comments regarding school starting up. Be sure to be careful, keep an eye out for kids darting out into the streets. And then finally, more of a public commentary about as school starts and as we proceed, we've had some discussions about some damage and vandalism here locally. Just a reminder, if you see something, say something. Make a phone call if you think something's inappropriate or something's out of the ordinary. Make a phone call and call the police and allow it to be investigated. Thank you.
Mr. Anderson?
I just want to point out I was involved in a dedication yesterday out at Marion Park for the new single-track bike path, and the Dix County Bike Path Committee, or the members of the committee, did a fine job in putting that together on phase one. They had a very nice turnout, a very nice event for the grand opening, and it's nice that you know, they put all that effort in, and they continue to put effort into building those single tracks. I think it's something that's going to be well used out there. So an appreciation goes out to all the hard work that they have done and are continuing to do out there. So that's my, oh, and the other is again, appreciation for especially Carol Sundstrom and Greg Hunt for the music in the park. We had our last concert last week, and it was again very well attended all summer long. It's something that we get good sponsorships. You know, it's just something that's just very positive for downtown. Between the city band and those concerts, the Music in the Park series, it's just something that I really appreciate the work that they do to make those events move forward.
Don't we have another event though coming up?
No, I believe the last event was last week.
Okay.
On that bike path now, there's 3 phases, correct?
There's 3 phases. The next phase is into the school property. There's 80 acres south of Oakcrest, so they're working on in that area, and we're looking at a connection between the two because it goes through some wet areas. So one of the things we're looking at is that we have some material that they're going to be able to use and utilize. They've already been working with the DEC. They've been doing all the permitting, you know, all the discussions. So it's really been helpful that you have a group that's just basically taking it right on. And they were very, very appreciative, very positive comments to the community as a whole, the city council specifically, and the community as a whole for the support. You know, that we're willing to give them access, and I just think it's something that's going to bring people in, and it's going to be positive. So it's just like the music program. That's another one that brings people into town, and it's just positive all the way around. A lot of positive comments, and again, it's appreciation to the council for supporting those types of activities in our community. That's it. That's all I have.
Trish, Mary? I need a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Support.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes?
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Meeting adjourned.
Yeah, you're.
I wasn't back for that.